Good morning, everybody. My name is Alanzalon, and this is my story. So a few years ago, the best way that I could describe my faith was inconsistent, hot and cold, or more clearly, lukewarm. My husband, John, and his family invited me to South Valley when we were in high school, and I served for VBS my first summer after high school, and I committed my life to God by being baptized. Through the years, John and I grew in our relationship with God. We got married and chose to raise our family to know and serve the Lord. But oftentimes, we found ourselves falling victim to convenience and complacency. Life felt busy, and we would only turn to God if our schedule allowed, for special occasions, or from home for the ease of our kids. And the list of excuses can go on and on. However, in 2021, my family faced one of the biggest hardships. My mom, Caroline, one of the strongest women I know, had a hemorrhagic stroke. She lost her ability to speak, lost all mobility of her entire right half of her body, and in that moment, everything we knew had changed. I don't know about you, but change can often bring about fear. My mom was immediately flown out to Community Regional Medical Center where they needed to relieve the bleeding in her brain. From that moment, I feared when the last day with my mom would come. I feared our children would grow up without knowing her. I feared my dad living his life without my mom. I feared I would never hear her voice again, and that the last conversation we had together didn't hold all of the words that I wanted to share. And even if my mom pulled through this challenge, I feared that my mom would never be the same. I feared. That year, we made the decision for me to take a year off of work so that I can help care for my mom and help my dad through this hardship. And in this year of darkness, God moved. In the hospital, I had to watch my mom relearn how to speak. In the beginning, she could barely make a sound, and any efforts came out as quiet mumbles. But one day, we were sitting in the hospital, and we played a song, "Who You Say I Am." And I began to sing the lyrics. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes, I am. And out of nowhere, my mom started to sing along. Not clearly, and it was very, not clearly, and it was very broken, but it was her voice. Worshiping the Lord through music brought my mom's voice back. When I feared never hearing my mom's voice again, God provided. So after this, I began finding myself turning to more songs and prayer. I've always felt unsure and insecure when I prayed, but I began to simply talk to God. I would find moments to pause and thank him for every moment that I had with my mom. I prayed for my dad, the people who took care of my mom, my family, and the immense support around us. So when I felt fear, God filled my heart with gratitude. My mom was hospitalized for over a month. And with the hospital restrictions at that time, we were very limited to who and when we could see her. But imagine this. On Easter Sunday, she was able to be discharged from the hospital and came home to us. We celebrated the risen Lord as a family all together. When I feared not having my mom, God brought her home. And as we figured out what our new normal was, my husband and I found out we were expecting twins. Yay! And shortly afterwards, My brother and sister-in-law found out that they were expecting their first child. So our twins and our children, my first nephew were born a week apart from one another at that end of that year. So when I feared my children would grow up without their grandma, God grew our family to know my mother's love firsthand. A single song of worship sparked a bright light in one of the darkest moments for our family. And in that year, I had to decide to worship through the hurt, to seek him through the hurt, and to trust him in this process. So we began to come more consistently to church in person as a family. We began to talk more about God together, and we began to pray more together, and we began to sing songs of worship more together. So what happened next was greater than anything I could have ever imagined. After the next VBS, our oldest sons, Jadron and Jackson, made the decision to commit their lives to Christ. Yeah. They chose to step forward and get baptized, and I connect their choices to the choices that we made to put God first. No one prepares you for how your heart explodes watching your children come to know the Lord. This is a moment I prayed for and always dreamed of, and God made a way. Through the patience and invitations of our friends Marcus, Chris, and Katrina, my husband and I joined our first small group through Rooted, and God moved again. We built new relationships and learned how to seek wisdom from the Lord. I never thought that I would be a part of a small group. And I got to do that with my husband, and God strengthened us as people and strengthened our marriage. I never knew, but God did, and he made a way. So Rooted ended in celebration Sundays and baptisms. Our small groups stood together during service right over here. And as Pastor Ricky began introducing baptisms, I saw my brother Jonathan and sister-in-law walk up on stage to be baptized. I had no idea that was going to happen. And I remember my husband and I immediately breaking down in tears as our small group held us. I never thought I would see that happen, but God made a way. God continued to move last year. My mom and dad both committed their life to Jesus Christ and got baptized together. I got the opportunity to help my mom take steps without her wheelchair to light her candle for baptism. I watched my dad get baptized and then hold my mom as Pastor Ricky poured water over her head to adapt to her needs. So talk about putting feet to faith. I never thought that would happen, but God knew, and he made a way. So as I reflect on my story, I quickly see that God was growing my family through the hurt and the hard. I've learned, and I'm still learning, to run towards what's hard. It's something I actively have to think about, especially during the times I feel fear. These hardships are growing us and leading my oikos to plans that are far greater than I could see for myself. Last week, Pastor Ricky quoted Oswald Chambers, "When you fear God, you fear nothing else." The idea of fearing God always sat weird with me. I always thought God wanted a relationship with us, so why should I be scared? But I now see that fear of God means to know of his unwavering love for us, because like a good father, he knows what we need before we even say a word. And even what we need might be difficult and painful, he's growing us. So I encourage you to fear not. Fear is a liar. When I spent my energy on the fear of what's out of my control, I took my eyes off the one who is in control. I also encourage you to run towards what's hard. Decide. It's not easy to choose hard, but these moments of hard were when I felt God the most. He moved so many mountains in my life, and I know he's not done. And after he moved these mountains, he revealed his plans to prosper me, not to harm me. He revealed his plans to give me hope and a future. God made everything beautiful for its own time. Thank you.